Hey guys, it's Dia. This is my first YouTube video, so I'm kind of a little nervous. But today we are talking about a very spicy topic, and that is being black in Korea. So without further ado, let's jump right into it, okay? So first point is that Koreans will definitely touch your hair, so don't be surprised when you get there and some random ajuma's like, 아가씨 머리 너무 예쁘세요. 어떻게 한 거예요? Don't be surprised. Don't even flinch. And I know it can be very frustrating, but Korea is not a place that's really big on personal space. And with that comes a lot of unwanted touching, even to other Koreans, but for black people specifically, it's our hair and it's our, our soft chocolatey skin, So I know that it can be really frustrating, but I always take those kind of encounters as a learning opportunity so that you're saving time for the next black person that comes to Korea. I usually just tell them that it's a protective hairstyle and I need it so my hair doesn't get super dry. My real hair doesn't get super dry. And people usually understand and they're like, oh, okay, cool, nice to know. And on top of that, I usually tell them that reggae hair doesn't exist because it doesn't. I think they're thinking of dreadlocks and they see this and they're like, oh, reggae morning. I'm like, no. So even though it is not your job to teach them, I would still advise that you do so that people don't have to keep going through it later on and you can educate more people. So the next thing is you will be asked just about every stereotype under the sun that you could possibly think of. Maybe besides eating watermelon and fried chicken, which I think is hilarious. Nobody bats an eye at the chicken because Koreans love chicken. But you will be asked if you can play basketball. You will be asked if you can sing. You will be asked if you can dance. You will be asked why your butt isn't big or why your boobs are not big. And of course, that's not everyone and it's not most people either. But you may get asked that question at least once. Luckily for me, I do all of those things. And I am a big portion of black stereotypes. I got a big chest, I have a big butt, I played basketball since I was 5, I sing, I do all of that. And so a part of me is like, I don't want to tell anybody that I do those things for fear of perpetuating the stereotype that black people do all those things. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And not all Koreans eat kimchi. Just ask them that. Do all Koreans eat kimchi? No. Okay, so the next point I want to talk about is the clubs in Korea. So it depends where in Korea you go. If you go to a more bougie area versus a more like street hip hop chill vibe area, then your likelihood of getting into a club may be higher or lower depending on where you are. I usually go to Hongdae, and that's where it's very street vibe, chill, a lot of foreigners there. If you're looking for a more bougie area, go to Gangnam, but less likely that you will get into the club. So there's actually been like a lot of controversy in Korea about not letting foreigners into certain clubs. It's honestly up to the bouncer. So if you get a racist bouncer that night or a very stuck-up bouncer, you're not getting in the club. There are some clubs who have group chats who are like, today we're not letting in XYZ. And it could not have something to do with race. It could be like no flip-flops tonight, no jeans tonight. Everyone needs to be very high-class wear. That will definitely occur less in Hongdae, but in the more bougie places, you will definitely find that. Basically, what I want to say is just for the most part, if you look put together and you don't necessarily have to be skinny. I'm not skinny, I'm not white. Like, you can get into a lot of good clubs if you just look put together. And so that's all you really got to worry about. Okay, this next point I would like to say is pretty cute to me. A lot of restaurants and bars, they will actually start playing like hip hop and R&B music just to make you feel more at home, which I think at first glance it's like, okay, what's going on here? But But if you really think about it, especially if the managers or whatever don't speak English, and they're like, you know, we can connect to you through music, you know, so they want you to come back and they want you to feel at home, even though you can be a black person from China, for God's sake. And this is my last point, and definitely not the least point, is you will be sexually fetishized to the gods. And we already knew this, but I just want to explain how bad it can be so you don't get surprised if it happens to you. Okay, so a disclaimer. Unless you're really interested in being fetishized, Korea is really not the place to be looking for your opar or whatever. Men are men are men are men. I have nothing against men, but don't expect them to be different just because you change location. They're the same everywhere, okay? Everywhere. Okay, so you may or may not have heard of something called riding the white horse or riding the black horse. And essentially what that is it's a term in Korea used by Koreans to say, you know, to have a sexual experience with a white person or a black person. And it's a lot more common than you think that people will be thinking like this. Of course, it's changed in the past few years, but still people are like, you know, I've had people ask me, you know, not 1, 2, 3, 4 people. It's a lot of people who don't know how to have a regular conversation are like, oh,
난 흑인 여자랑 자본 적이 없는데 니네들 잘하지.
What did he say?
and I'm like, I will slap the out of you. Don't try me. I will. Yeah. So it's not great. But I just wanted to warn you beforehand because you will get comments like that. All that to say, Korea is a pretty safe place. There are CCTVs everywhere. You know, you have roads that are specifically patrolled more by police that women are able to walk alone in general. But when it really comes down to the nitty-gritty shitty of it, if you get caught up in SA case or like a domestic violence case, they're not very good at dealing with it. They're not very efficient at dealing with it, and they're pretty insensitive to the victim. And again, not everyone's the same, but as a whole, from what I've heard and from what I've seen and from what I've experienced myself, good luck. I know this whole video sounds like I'm shitting on Korea, but I'm really not. I would just like people to go in with not a big expectation of Korea being this wonderful, perfect, you know, K-drama-esque place, because at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of regular people doing regular jobs, you know. Yes, K-pop idols exist, but so celebrities exist in the USA too, and everywhere else in the world. But Korea is a very fun place, and you just have to be smart about, you know, where you're going, what you're doing, and who you're hanging out with. And it is a different culture. There are cultural differences, there are language barriers, there are a bunch of things that you may not get about them at first, or they may not get about you at first. But I like to see this as an interest in each other, and that should always be celebrated because we always want to learn more about other people, other cultures, and all that stuff. So I just say go for it, take that plane ride out, and try to go in with an open mind and no expectations. Okay, I will say that I do really think that Korea is a lovely place. It's super fun. There's plenty of opportunity to meet people. You know, there are a lot of people who are eager and excited to learn about foreigners and learn English, and you know, if you're willing to help, then it's a perfect place for you to visit. But yeah, I'm gonna make another video on things that I like about Korea, just so you don't think I hate Korea. But all that to say, I will see you in the next video, and bye!